And Krystle, I give the space all to you.
Amazing. Thank you. I find this stuff really exciting. So I've been an employee my whole life, and then discovered coaching, discovered that's what I was actually doing when I was at work with people one-on-one. And it's been like a really incredible journey. I started in 2019. And just as Christina says, it's about adding to identity. Like, when I thought of myself and my future and what I was doing, coaching was not in that plan. So I kind of had to like mourn the dreams that I had, because like they weren't actually the same anymore. Like you change as you're growing and developing. And then I also had to like celebrate and acknowledge, oh my gosh, I've made merchandise now. I am Coach Krystle. That's who I am now. Like I have really come to embody this thing that I've become, that I was really wrestling with. And it's what I find is a very big struggle for people, because we often think that we have to show up a certain way, like especially with social media. So obviously everything I'm talking about is about, becoming your own brand, putting yourself out there, getting your clients. It's you, and you're building your coaching practice, and you're using social media as a tool. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's how I started getting clients. When I first started coaching in 2019, I was literally just like, oh, I learned this thing this week. Let me tell everyone about it. How can I do that quickly? I'm going to put it on Facebook. I'm going to put it on Instagram. And that's how I started actually connecting with people and getting clients. They were not the clients that I wanted forever, but it gave me the opportunity to get paid, even though it was maybe less than what I'd get paid now. But it gave me that opportunity to not only practice my coaching, but practice that business skill, practice like all these new things that I was having to do, because now my identity was shifting. I was no longer a teacher at a school. I'm now a person who runs my own business, who's in charge of everything. So in saying that, let me open my presentation, because I love a good presentation. Let me double check here, a single page. I know that's perfect. Okay, cool. So this is what this is about. We're building our brand as a coach. And what is so important to understand is that it's going to evolve and change as you evolve and change. Like, I love to use the example, like, think about the people you were dating when you were like at school, and like that you broke up with. Okay, so if you married your high school sweetheart, this is not a good example for you. But think about the people that you used to like interact with. You are not that same person. That stuff is expired. You might have outgrown it, or you've changed your mind, or you realize like, oh no, actually, that's rubbish. I don't want to be a part of that. It's the same concept for us developing ourselves as coaches. When I first started, I called myself a life coach. Then I called myself a business coach. Then I called myself an executive coach. Now I call myself a mental performance coach. The more I'm learning and evolving and finding my way and finding the things that energize me beyond all reasonable doubt in my mind. Like, I don't know how this is energizing me. I never for a second in my life thought I would be obsessed with the brain, but I read neuroscientific articles every day. Who am I? Like, I don't recognize myself. So this is the journey that happens as you start developing your identity as a coach. So I always love to start with a mindset shift. So if you've also always been an employee, it's about going, cool, I'm moving from employee to self-employed. There's something different. The mind changes. If I think about when I was a teacher, I remember I used to think like when the school did something, I'd be like, why are they doing that? They should do it this way. Like, I thought I knew all the answers until I became self-employed, and I went, oh, that's why they did it like that. Oh, okay, I understand now. So the mindset shift as we move from employee to self-employed, and then hopefully to the entrepreneurial business owner shift, because that's where, you have, it's the most lucrative. But at least shifting and looking at things in a different way from employee to self-employed and then to hopefully, again, entrepreneur to business owner. So this is the big question. What is this? What is a brand? So your brand really is your identity. It's everything that you want to encapsulate, that you want to communicate with people. So if I think about before I was a coach, I used to be quite I know I have pink hair and I'm like bubbly and stuff, but I was private. Like I didn't share my whole life on social media. I shared the things I wanted people to see. And when you actually start becoming a brand as yourself as a coach, it's, well, what am I comfortable sharing? You don't have to share everything. Some people love being open and sharing absolutely everything, and that aligns with their brand. But if that's not what you are doing, then that's totally okay. And just as Christina says, it's not only about social media. I am the exact same person on social media as I am in real life. And that's why people trust me, because I'm not pretending to be different things in different places. It's the same. I'm consistent across everything. So your brand is the way people experience you, they perceive you, and the way they receive you as an individual. And you get to control that, because you get to control how much are you showing and how much do you want to share. Okay, so it really needs to communicate who you are. So we are personal brands as coaches, unless you're building like Epi Coaching as a business, and Christina is one of the faces of the business. Okay, Christina is still a personal brand, but she's attached to a business. And there's probably some congruency between the two of them. So when you think of yourself as a personal brand, you're thinking, who am I? What is it that I'm doing? What is it that I'm offering? What do I stand for? Why did I start doing what I'm doing? And where do I see myself going? And all these answers you can actually see on my LinkedIn. I've just actually connected that I've done this on my LinkedIn recently because I'm in the process now of transitioning into a new niche. So I've just read that. I went, oh, I've actually followed my own thing once. That's awesome.
And just sorry to interrupt you for a while. That one of the requirements that I also invite you to complete and to keep on working on is creating your own definitions of coaching. What does a coach do? Who is a coach? The responsibility, by using your metaphors, your language, your way to see. That is why you need to create a kind of a storytelling, a vocabulary on your own personal way to describe what do you do. So that's why I encourage you to write it down, not because you have to write an essay or an article, but because you can talk about what coaching is. And since you're doing that here in a program that is aligned to the ICF competencies, then you can do that with that vision also by following that the standards, the ICF standards.
Absolutely. And what's so important, and I remember this in the beginning, you cannot use coaching language, because all you're going to do if you use coaching language is attract coaches. That's it. Because coaches understand coaching language. They get excited when they see words like competencies and accreditation. We get excited when we see that. We know what it means. People on the outside world, they've got no idea what that means. I actually had a session with a potential client on Friday, and he's asking me about my background and all my what I studied and what I know. And I'm like listing this whole thing. He goes, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. You should put this, it should be the first thing people see. And I wanted to say to him, it is. You just have to open the LinkedIn, my profile, and it's there.
We have a question. Rugi says,
yes.
Thanks for sharing your journey. And she said, how do you transform your business name, website names, domains when you are changing your niche?
Okay, so I have changed my niche quite a few times, but I've also always been known as everything is always Krystle.coach, because coaching, I'm not changing coaching. If I was going to become like a consultant or something, maybe that would make it irritating, like I'd have to change something. But that's why if you use your name, your personal brand, doesn't matter what you do, you can change it. But the thing with like business name, website name, domain, I don't care. Like that stuff, I don't make a change unless I know that there is an established market for that change. So I was always testing things and like playing with different niches. Like my previous niche was millennials, because I'm a millennial. So I was targeting the millennial market. And now I've moved to professional athletes. I haven't had to change anything. The only thing I've changed is like my explanation and my value proposition statement, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm always adapting and editing and changing as I'm learning and growing, because sometimes even if I'm talking to a client, this one guy on Friday, he says to me, he used the word dominate. I would never in a million years use that word in an explanation, but now I know that's what my ideal client would use. So now I can start adding that language into my copy. So as you learn, you adapt and you add. It's that simple. And you know, when you add this information about who you are, your businesses, what you stand for, that humanizes you. And when you're humanized, people connect with you. They don't actually connect with a logo or with a business unless that business is super clever, like Nike. You know, they're always building campaigns that target like the previous campaign where like it was all the women and how they've all overcome things and how strong they are, and they all wear Nike. Like, oh my gosh, sign me up, I'm ready. So, you know, but that's on a very big level. At a personal brand level, you are trying to connect human to human. And even those people that you see on LinkedIn with their beautiful professional photo, I can tell you anything now. When you see them at a social gathering on the weekend, you see another side to them and you realize just how normal they are. That tie is just a facade. Okay. So people see our brand not only, so like I said, everything I have is on LinkedIn. People can learn about me in detail on LinkedIn, on my website, on social media, all the platforms, but they don't do that. Okay. They actually want to see how you show up. People love like spotting like inconsistencies, you know, our brain is just wired for that. So that is why when you start making these decisions, it becomes the blueprint of how you show up in everything. So whether it's virtually, digitally, or in person, like I said, I'm the same person no matter where you find me. So, and my actions and everything I'm doing, it all talks to one another because I've made these decisions about what I stand for, who I am, my identity as a coach, what I want to share, how I want to share it. Okay, so your brand is you. Like, I think that's also part of the scariest thing, because if we could just put a logo and we could disassociate emotionally from this thing that we were creating, it would be so easy. So if you find that actually disassociating is easier for you, then write about everything in third person. Don't say I, say Krystle is, and write it all out. And then later you can add the I so that it's not as close. But that, I mean, in my experience working with coaches, there's so much like overthinking and worrying and like second guessing and all this stuff. And that's totally okay. That means that it means something to you. So that's awesome. So if you need a tool to get over that, write everything in the third person as if you are writing about someone else's business. So we obviously, as coaches, the most amazing thing is that we get to learn all this stuff about ourselves. So we're reflecting our core values, our life purpose. It took me such a long time to actually like realize what my purpose was. And even in the beginning, like I was like, I don't know if this is actually the right one. I don't know, but I had to keep playing with and feeling it. And eventually I was like, you know what? I've had resistance because I don't actually want to accept this, because there's a fear that if I accept it, that's actually what I'm going to start doing. And that's kind of scary. So all these beautiful things that you start learning about yourself as you're learning about being a coach and coaching other people, you're going to be using all of it. So what are your natural gifts and talents? So I don't know if it's obvious, but I have a natural gift with people. I'm very good at presenting. I hope you think so. I'm very good at connecting with people. I've always been like that. That is part of my personality. So I use that to my advantage. It's the thing. It's part of my mechanism of creating business. So your mission, oh, I see a question, which is great because I have a lot of energy. Oh, thank you. I hope that's a good thing. So your mission, your purpose, and your reason for being a coach, all of that creates your compass for everything that you do. It becomes the foundation on which you build absolutely everything, because it's going to decide the type of service you offer, the people you want to coach, how much you want to charge, where you want to hang out. All that's it's going to guide absolutely everything. And again, it constantly evolves. So I was being a mental performance coach for rugby players, which is what I'm currently doing. That was the furthest thing from my mind when I started. When I started, I was like, I'm going to change the world. OMG, this magic gift that I have, I'm just going to coach everyone. Like, it's going to be magnificent. I wanted to coach my family. I was like, they need it the most. They didn't want coaching. So I had to move on. But you start by going, who needs this the most? And then you eventually start going, who do I want to coach? Because when it's people you want to coach, oh my gosh, don't worry about motivation, because then it's inside of you. It's an intrinsic motivation. So, but again, it constantly evolves. And it took me a long time to get to this place of going, oh, this is exactly where I need to be. So before anyone gets overwhelmed, because I know it's a little bit overwhelming, we get to use the exact tools from our coach training on ourselves, because we do that anyway. I just think that what a gift that we get to learn this profession that's going to change people's lives, and it changes our life at the same time. I mean, what a win-win situation. So using the things that you've already learned, we have this like really amazing advantage because we have such a heightened sense of self-awareness compared to other professions. Our whole existence is about awareness and reflection. So using everything that you're learning as you go and apply it to yourself as a personal brand. Because that's what people do. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done any of these courses. Like, I've sat there in a marketing course going, oh my gosh, these people are using psychology like that I've learned in coaching, but they're just using it for a very different intention. So we have the tools, we have the knowledge. Now we just have to direct it in terms of how do we want to show up? How do we want to be perceived? What is our intention? Who do we want to communicate with? I'm just going to have a little glass of water. It's actually been a while since I've done a live presentation. Okay, so our goal is to align our intention with the perception and the reception of people. Okay, so what we're hoping that what we give out is being received in the way that we're giving it, because like, oh, so much miscommunication, people are always like misinterpreting things. That is the goal. And obviously we want it to be the people who are going to benefit from working with us. So it's this really beautiful like experiment of trying ways of communication until we actually reach the people who are receiving the message that we're putting out there.
I always, Krystle, I always say it's like actually the antennas when I don't know, Marconi or Meucci, they just try to send the first signal across the ocean. We try. So it's like we need to broadcast information, messages, and they need to be received. So we have to test them. We have to try.
100%. Absolutely. And there's quite a trending thing on social media with creators and entrepreneurs and personal brands where they say, practice in public, fail in public. because actually what happens is that you learn so much quicker. You really do. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I changed my niche from millennials to professional athletes at the end of July. And I've already met with a coach of a professional rugby team in South Africa. It's taken me just over a month. Like, that's how quick stuff can happen. I've had a Springbok rugby player message me on Instagram. Like, that Springboks are like our main team, like our big national team. And what that's showing me is that my intention that I'm putting out is being received from the very people that it's intended for. So it's working. So I have data now that is giving me the evidence that my messaging is correct, that I'm using the words that they need to hear, because I'm not trying to trick them. I'm trying to actually connect with them. If I was using other words, when I was when I was coaching millennials, I kept attracting boomers. Like, that just kept happening. Boomers, so people over 60 were contacting me, but I was targeting people in the 35 to 40. So something in my messaging was attracting these boomers. But of course, I did ask them, like, why are you contacting me? You know, I'm a millennial coach. And they were like, I want to be a millennial. So they had a millennial spirit. So it was still working. So it's all about experimenting, and it can't be wrong. If anything, you're just going to get data about something that you need to shift. Okay, so this is my favorite saying for everything, and I do this to myself all the time. Start from where you are. So yes, I'm talking about, oh my gosh, I've done this amazing niche, and it's taken me a month to speak to this head coach and blah, blah, blah. And you're just thinking, how the hell am I going to do this? Oh my God, where does she get the energy? It's just natural. And coffee. So these are the questions I ask myself. What am I comfortable sharing? That's number one. If you're not comfortable, what's going to happen is you're going to have so much resistance, and then you're not going to do it. And it's going to be this like mental struggle, and you're just going to be wasting your time. So just start with what you're comfortable with, because I promise you, if you're comfortable with sharing 10%, you start sharing 10% and you're like, oh, this is easy. Oh, no one is actually sending me nasty messages. Oh, people are not judging me. Then you'll start sharing 15%. And then after that, you're going to be in the 30% zone. And then, it's just going to be amazing. So just start with what you're comfortable with. And there's no right or wrong. If you're comfortable with 1%, start with 1%. Then, what do you want people to know about you as a person? Not as a coach, as a human being. So I used to share like, I'm not a very active person. I actually have something called hypermobility, which means my joints are very bendy. So my ligaments overextend, and which means that I don't exercise very often. And then I learned how to exercise with my hypermobility, and I shared that in case there's another person out there with hypermobility. And true that there was someone. But that's besides the point. So I started sharing that. That's a personal thing. It was something that was interesting to me, because I was in this like new realm of fitness and gymming and working out, and I'd never had real muscles before. And what is it supposed to hurt like this? It was awesome. So you just have to decide, what do you want people to know about you? Do you want them to know you have kids? Are your kids older? Are they going to college? Is that like a story you can share about like how you're dealing with that? Do you have animals? Like, do you actually take your dog on trail runs with you? That's amazing. That's something that people can connect with you on a personal level before they move into the professional realm. Because think about it, like in business, people don't generally, when someone messages me on LinkedIn, I cringe, because I'm like, what do you want? Like, that's my first thought. And then if I see their message is actually like a human message, like, I really enjoyed that thing you wrote about. Please, can you explain that? Like, great, let's have a conversation. But when they message me and they go, I have this like thing that I want to share with you, I actually just like, get away from me, like, stop that. So the more you can share about yourself as a person, the more ease of creating a connection with people. And that's what all of this is about, is we're creating connections. If people are not connecting to you on a human level, then they're not going to connect with you on a business level. And then what do you want them to know about you as a coach? So, for example, I am obsessed with neuroscience. Like, I don't know how this happened, but I'm literally reading like scientific papers. I don't understand some of the words, but I Google them and now I understand them. Like, it's so cool that I'm in this realm. I never thought of myself as a scientist, but now I'm using that. I want people to know that my specialization is using neuroscience in my coaching. It's very important to me that they know that, because it's not only about the talking and the goal setting. It's how can we rewire your brain so that you have sustainable change when you leave me. That's important for me, that people know that. So that's the kind of stuff that I will share in my content. And then what makes you different? So there's a thing that says rule of thumb 1/8, and it's actually a design, it's one of the design principles. If you are only 1/8 different to someone else, you stand out. That's all you need, 1/8. I mean, what is even 1/8? I don't know even what percent is even that. That's not even 10%. It's like 7% or 6.9% or something. So that's all you need to have that's different. I have pink hair, and I think that helps me. But you don't have to dye your hair. But you know, this is the beauty, is that the combination of what you have is your 1/8. You just have to tell people about it. You have to make it noticeable, and you have to communicate it in a way that it means something to them. No one cares that I have 183 hours of coaching training unless it's coaches. So my 183 hours, I have to translate that into saying that I have the highest caliber of training that you can get, which means that the quality of the coaching, you're going to get the highest quality. You're going to get the most benefit out of meeting with me, because I can interchange between dozens of models. Like, they are internalized. Whatever you need, I'm going to be able to do it. So that's not like, that's a differentiator. That was the water. Okay. So these are the types of things that combine in our messaging. So it's who are we? What do we do? How do we do it? So what does it look like? The how do I do it? This is only 10% of the information people need. And it's usually that people will usually ask this question, like, oh, how does this work? Or how long is the session? And then you have the answer. But it's very seldom I get asked that question. And then why do I do it? Because when you know all of this combined, then you've got everything that you need to know. You've got your foundation. And it's very, very important to know that you are not going to be for everyone. Like, I know it feels like we are for everyone because we're so amazing and coaching is so radical. But oh my gosh, if you have not had a nightmare client yet, then you don't understand that there is definitely people out there you don't want to coach. I mean, I've had a few, I've had a handful.
And you know, Krystle, sorry, but I want to share my experience here. Even if you are an MCC, like myself, I got the MCC credential. You can be the best MCC in the world, and the client you have in front of you is not your right client, the right client for you, and you're not the right coach for him or her. Coaching doesn't work. You can be the best in the world, best coach. So
absolutely.
It's about chemistry. It's also about do you like to be coached by me? And do I like to coach you? And we find it out in an exploratory meeting.
Absolutely. And you know, like I had to be honest with myself, because I was coaching a lot of people who I did not enjoy coaching. And I had to have a very honest conversation with myself. I am a high achiever. I learn at a lightning speed. It is one of my gifts. It is a skill that I work on every single day. I learn every single day, at least for an hour. Like if I don't, I actually like start getting irritated. So that is part of that is how I function. Not a lot of people are going to do that, but I want to be coaching people like that. And I thought that I had to coach people who were not like that, because a lot of people who, for lack of a better word, had a victim mentality were attracted to me, like not physically maybe, but to my energy, because it was aspirational. The energy was, oh, I want to be like that, which is so nice. And it's so like, it's such a lovely thing to hear, but that's not who I want to coach. It drained me. They actually took my energy because they wanted my energy. And I had to have a very, very serious discussion with myself and go, you're a high achiever and you need other high achievers, because they are the people that energize you. They push you to being better. I want more. I want to be, I don't want to only use one coaching model. I want to be like, I want to be in a session and go, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I like that feeling. I like that challenge. I want it, because now I have to like tap into parts of my brain that I haven't used in a while to find something that I can use. I love that. Other people might hate that. So also being as self-aware as that, to the degree of who do I want to work with? Because you're allowed to decide, you know, I know everything is about the clients and it's not about us, but it is about us when it's our energy. So that's also my experience. All right. So, you know, coaches, we love a good reflection question. We like getting clarity. So these are some of the questions, and you will get a copy of my presentation. If you want to write it down, you're welcome, but you can all get this presentation with pleasure. So what do you want your brand to say about you? So like list things. You know, I wanted, you know, my brand to say that I was approachable and energetic and fun and confident. And I wanted people to, you know, feel inspired. Like, so that's an expression. What do you want people to feel when they discover your brand? So inspired, challenged, excited, like those are the types of feelings I wanted people to feel. How would you want them to experience my brand? So this was a virtual thing for me, like virtually, what was the experience? So I created a lot of digital things, you know, my content, if they clicked here, what would happen? But you can think about this in terms of in person as well. So I know some coaches who do something really interesting. The experience that they offer their clients is, when you sign up, you actually get sent this like book. It's like a book for your coaching that you can fill in your sessions. It's like a gift. And I thought, that is so clever. Sounds like way too much work for my liking, but so clever. So that's another example of like how they experience your brand. So maybe there's like, oh my gosh, this is like surprise, you know, like delight, surprise and delight. And then how do you want to make them feel? So I want them to feel safe when they're with me, when they're experiencing my brand. I want them to feel seen. And I want them to feel like there's hope. Like, because very often people think that they can't change, or that they're so far gone, what's the point? So I really wanted that hope and that optimism to come through. And then what do you want them to say about you when you aren't there? So I mean, I want them to be like, I have the best coach in the world. Like that's what I want them to say. And I do ask my clients, I'm like, what do you say about me? But often they don't, you know, some people don't want people to know that they're with a coach, and some do. So it just depends on the type of people that you're wanting to work with. So this could even just be like a imagined scenario, because maybe they actually won't talk about you because they don't want people to know they're being coached. But you can still, what do you want them to think about you when you're not there? You do something like that. Okay. So this is something that you can do now if you want in the comments, okay? Just the first one, because I think the others will be quite long. But this is a great exercise that I did with people, like I asked people. So you can, in the comments, if you want to say like, what 3 words do you think describe you? Okay, so you can put it in the comments for yourself. So that can be like your baseline. And then you're actually going to ask people, what 3 words describe me? And then ask someone in your family, what 3 words describe me? And then you're going to ask a friend, so like a close friend. So this one is for you. The second one is to ask a family member. The third one is to ask someone who's close to you. And then the fourth one is to ask a client. So it can be either a client that you already have or a past client. And this exercise is going to give you so much information about how you show up according to different circumstances and if you are congruent. I did this as a exercise in 2020. And I asked, so on social media is mainly my friends and family. So I asked them, and then I asked clients, and it was life-changing. You can ask more than one. I mean, I asked, I think like 50 or 60 people like replied to me. And it was so overwhelming, because you actually don't realize how impactful your presence is to people. And in a really nice way. And so this is quite a cool exercise. So in the comments, what 3 words best describe your brand? So you don't have to say brand to your family. You can just say best describe me. And you can, just as a person. So where is this thing? So let me put mine. Oh, whoopsie.
So yes, you can use the chat and you can share the answer to the first question. What 3 words do you think, do you believe best describe you or your brand, if you want?
Yeah, it could be brand.
Or you as a person, or you as a coach.
So this is the key. I don't differentiate myself and myself as a coach. They're the same person. I've gotten to that point. If you're still separating them, whatever you're comfortable with, remember, you start from where you are.
Optimistic, humorous, caring.
Amazing.
Nice. And Giga or Rugi, Paolo, nicely.
Amazing.
Willie.
Reflective, that's cool. Optimistic, cool.
Anything else?
So it's some deep thought. How do you describe yourself in 3 words? Terrible exercise. I hate describing myself. Curious, thoughtful. That's also fun. Nice. Amazing. Okay, so take note of the words you're coming up with, because this is how, obviously, oh yeah, trailblazer, courageous, love it. This is your intention. So this is how you perceiving yourself, okay, your internal perception. Then when you ask other people, and I think I have a script here for you. Yes, I do. Look at me. I'm so nice. Inspiring, connecting, doing. Amazing. So this is the script that I used when I message people. So you could send an email or WhatsApp or a private message, however you communicate with people, and get their feedback. So it's a really, really fun exercise. And then you'll also see, or excuse me, which words come up the most, because then you'll know like, okay, like that's how people are perceiving me. So the thing that I'm putting out is being received in that way. So you'll either be able to go, cool, there's some things I need to change, or, oh, I'm on point. Okay. Oh, here we go. So yeah, and these are the questions you'll ask yourself after you receive them. I forgot that I did all this. Okay. That's it. Okay. So after you get those words, you're going to ask yourself, where are the overlaps? Like which word comes up the most? I think I remember, like, I had some bizarre word like sparkle. And I was like, sparkle? Like, I mean, it's a nice word,
Yes.
but like, how? so
Well,
there'd be like some cool.
yes, you can be maybe words that you would have never thought, or maybe your description goes in the same direction but with different language, or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what's really cool about that as well is the person who sparkled became a client. So because it was just, like I said, I put it on Facebook, and then and Instagram, and I wrote who said what, and I kept like a spreadsheet of everything. And the people who matched my ideal clients, I started actually making content around the words they used as well. So it can, you can use the data. It's so amazing. But it's also about your reflection. So learning about how you're being perceived. So where's there a gap? Like, because your family and your friends are going to have a very different perception, probably, from your clients. So where is the gap where you need to show more authenticity, where you're not separating self from coach? Where is that comfortable spot, like that comfortable overlap for yourself, where you can put the two together? So where can you align more authentically, and then what you need to change, add, or remove? Maybe people say like, you're serious and you want to be fun. Like, oh my gosh, people think I'm serious, but I'm fun. Like, what do you need to do differently? How do you need to show up? What can you start doing? How can you start communicating with these people differently so they can see that you're actually very fun? So like, that's quite a cool reflection. Okay, and then this is also quite a fun exercise. So, oh my gosh, sorry, Siri is sending me messages. She's so irritating. The Apple stupid thing. Okay, so you can also learn from how others are showing up. Now, if you aren't on social media, that's totally cool, and there's no like, I'm not going to force you or try to like change your mind. I do actually want to change your mind. It's amazing. I messaged 54 rugby players on Instagram, and like 10 of them replied to me saying that they're going to meet me. So it works.
Wow.
But I mean, obviously I'm very ballsy, but like it works. Like you literally have the people at the palm of your hand. You can connect with the exact people you want to at the palm of your hand. It's just like mind-blowing to me. Okay, so if you think about a person, and I mean, I don't know if you learned from Jonathan Passmore. He's a coaching academic. He's one of the people that we learned about some of his articles. So he's on LinkedIn. So I mean, you could even use him as an example. But you pick a person on social media, because obviously that's the easiest, or online. Like, you can look them up, look at their website, look at what you can find about them. Maybe there's an article about them or something. Now you're going to investigate, what are they showing you? Like, I use here Brene Brown and Marie Forleo, because they are both female in the space of changing people's lives with emotional intelligence and coaching. Like, Marie Forleo is an actual coach like us. That was how she started, and now she's doing business coaching. So I like using them as an example, because they're similar to what I was doing. But again, you can pick anyone. So what are they showing you? What information have they shared with you in the last 5 posts? So obviously that's when I'm looking at social media. If you are not on social media and you're just Googling them, what are the things that come up? Like, what are the 5 latest like articles about them? Or what do you see that's showing up? Or of course, if you go on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see. And then how do they speak about what they do and their business? Because I can tell you now, most of them probably don't even talk directly about their business. They're probably only talking about other things that is on a human level. I think it's like the rule is like one in like for every 10, the 10th post that is usually the business post. Everything else is human stuff. What kind of imagery do they use? And then what do they do that you can use? So is there anything there and you're like, oh, that's such a good idea that you can add your message and your flavor and your insights on? Like, how, like, is there something that you can templatize and then add your own content to? So I find that this is a really, really useful. This is how I started, was looking at other people, like, what are they doing? You know, what is this? What are they saying? And that was how I started getting comfortable finding my own voice and finding my own rhythm and my own style. Are there any questions about that? Okay.
Yeah. Robert.
Oh, yes, question.
Yeah. So this is more for, and maybe I may be wrong, but I see this more for somebody who is doing coaching 100%.
No.
I am.
So, okay, but you carry on.
Yes, I am. I mean, I take all that you're saying, that's something we need to do. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, this now from you, if I look at you, this is like coaching 100%. And I know I need to go through this. So I'm trying to think about how do I position it for all the things that I do. But I agree to all that you're saying.
Yeah, 100%.
So how do I position it when coaching may probably be, in terms of full-time coaching, may probably be 20% of what I do, but everything I do also uses the coaching skills, because I actually got introduced to coaching when somebody who has gone through coaching training, I happened to facilitate a workshop with that person, and this person said, but the way you do this, it's like you're coaching. So why don't you then learn how to coach? And that's how I got into this. And I 100%. Still facilitate workshops. And fantastic. So how do I put all of this together in one? That's what I'm trying to think about, how I can do it really well.
So amazing. So I also am not just a coach. I also do this. This is not coaching. So I do presentations, I also do facilitations, I teach, I have a membership, I have a whole bunch of things that are going on. But the core of who I am and what I'm doing and my mission is one thing. The things that the services that I'm doing around that core, that's the things that I interact with people about when we're having a connection. Okay. So for example, if you have an assortment of things you do, what is the underlying mission that is driving all those services? That's what this is about. It's not about coaching. Coaching is just the service at the end of the rainbow, but we're like talking about like the pot of gold, you know, like our essence. So your brand is, how do you want to be perceived? So if your mission is leadership, is it leadership development? Did you say leadership earlier? Okay. Leadership development.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But like, what about leadership development? What are you hoping is going to happen if you develop leaders? What's like past that? What's past the leadership development? You can tell me if you know.
Helping them to accelerate the changes and transformation they are seeking to achieve in their own lives, rather than 2 steps forward, 3 steps backwards.
And then what's going to happen if they achieve that? Like, what's that next step?
The next step, maybe I haven't thought about that, but the next step is then they have achieved what is it that they wanted to do for themselves.
Okay, so if you can be very specific about that, if it's like, so for example, some leaders might want to have like better leadership skills so they can step back. That might be their goal. And then that's what you're communicating with them. Like, this is what I do. I help leaders get to the point where they have actually gone past that transition and are able to take that step back and allow the people who they are leading to do what they need to do. Like, that's
yeah, because I mean, the next step then in that case, I say it as impact. And so in that sense, if they can step back or even help other leaders do the things that they're doing better, then it's increasing and multiplying their impact. So.
And do you know why they want to make an impact?
That's a good question.
I know I'm such a good coach, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm sharing.
I mean, they want to make.
Sorry.
They want to make an impact because I mean, and that's what I see every leader at the heart. I mean, you may be in the process fighting fires and may lose focus, but at the heart of this all, you want to make an impact and connect with the people that you work with and the stakeholders that you want to serve to achieve the mission and the purpose. And so we want to make sure that the leaders that we work with, they are still centered on the mission and the purpose, and they achieve it at the end of the day and achieve it as quickly as possible for their stakeholders. And that's why I also believe in accelerating the transformation and the impact.
Amazing.
I'm just sharing an example in the chat. My mission is opening new paths for those who want to pioneer in the new emerging world. And how do I do this? Through different services.
Yeah.
The brand.
Okay.
The brand is not Christina Master Certified Coach, MCC Coach. The brand is Sunlight Academy, or the brand can be also Christina the Coach or Christina XYZ. But the brand is not the name. The brand is what falls under your set of services that answer to the question, what is your mission and how do you do that? And what are the benefits for your client and what are the values that drives you? So you see, you can have a different bunch of services, but what Krystle is proposing today is define what comes before you deliver who you are through different services. So the questions that we need to answer are, and if you sit down, really, I did that so many times when I created my work as a coach, my profession, my business as a coach, but also I did that. And I had to do that with ICF when I accredited level 2, these programs, Sunlight and Epic Coaching at level 2, level 1, level 3. When I want to mentor someone, when I create other type of services for companies, for the corporate world, for small businesses. But I have clear in my mind what type of clients do I want to serve, why, what for, in which way, because I did that kind of work before with the process that Krystle is showing us. And then you can have tons of ways. You can also have a restaurant together with being a coach. Doesn't matter. I mean, you are a coach and you have a restaurant. Why? Because you want to open new paths in terms of how do I cook vegetables. And maybe you can invite your clients and they have a bonus when they finish your coaching program, and you can invite them at your restaurant. It doesn't matter if it is not related, but
I would love to add some neuroscience to this, if you don't mind.
Actually, Christina, that's how I express mine. And in all the corporate communication that we send out. So through leadership development, facilitating strategy sessions, and then executive coaching. And so we have the mission of enabling leaders and organizations accelerate transformation. And we do that through the leadership development, coaching, and facilitating strategy retreat. But I think maybe I went ahead of myself, and I looked at Krystle coaching, Krystle.coach. And then the profile I saw there was you as a coach, and it's really engaging. It's who you are and what you're talking about, really. 100%. You know.
So remember.
Yeah.
So my brand is about being the person I wish I had when I was younger. That's my brand why. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay. And that shows up in everything that I do. And all these answers to these questions actually gives me a filter to what I can say no to. Because we're in the change market, which means that it's like it's the world, okay? Like, oh my gosh, change is everywhere. But I have to know what is not a part of what I'm doing. So when you answer all these questions, what actually is happening in your brain is you are creating a filter for your brain. You are tapping into your reticular activating system so that you're only seeing according to all of these things that you're creating. And you can filter out everything else that doesn't align with your mission, and that doesn't align with your values, and that doesn't align with the impact you want to have, and that doesn't align with the goals that you have. So what happens is then for you as this leadership, the stuff you're talking about, when you say it, I have no idea who you're trying to target. When you say leaders, it means nothing, because everybody likes to call themselves a leader, just like everybody likes to call themselves a coach, no matter what training they've had. Okay. So I'm hyper specific about what it is that I want to do. I want to make a change in the world. That is part of my thing. And I know that working through professional sports, not only am I achieving the people that I want to work with because they're high achievers, they learn quickly, they want to be the best, so they are aligned with the exact people I want to work with, but they are also role models that will create a ripple effect because they will model the behavioral and mental health changes that we need in order to have the change in the world that I want to see. So now if someone comes to me, they go, oh, Krystle, I have a friend. No, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Are they professional athletes? No, unfortunately, I'm fully booked. So it's not only about, this is branding, hey? This is not my brand. This is the branding. This is irrelevant. This could have been in Times New Roman, for all I care. That's branding. This is the very last thing that you do. It's actually like, but my brand is about the change and working with very high achieving individuals.
Yeah.
So if you can, when you look at all this information, you don't go like, oh, but Krystle was talking about being a coach. No. You as a human being, because remember, you're still a human, even if you're working in a business. What is your stuff? What's your compass? That's what this boils down to. Is that making it more clear?
Yeah, it's making more clear. I mean, what I've already been contemplating going on this journey, and you're also reinforcing it, because I started out building a brand, which is the name of the company, but I've done this for over a decade now under the name of the company, and I'm thinking about shifting it to me and actually creating a parallel website, which is robertbenning.com, with all the things that I do, and something I'm hearing you also say.
So if you look at any of the big brands, okay? If you look at their account versus the CEO's account, the CEO is always going to have more going on.
Yeah, that example you gave of Nike, just
I don't know
honed it on, that made it clear to me.
Yeah, like if you look at there's a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got his marketing company that's got millions of followers. Then he, as a human, is in the, I think, the tens of millions. People want the human. They want the human connection. Even if you look at like Apple or I'm just trying to think what brands I'll follow. Like Mercedes, like Mercedes. So F1. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with F1. Okay. If you look at Mercedes versus Lewis Hamilton, please, there's no contest. So it's the person. You can always be associated with a business brand, but we're talking about the personal brand. And the two can have the same values, same mission, same everything. But there's just that human element. That is the key to everything, is that human element.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure.
And it's also when you start this training to get to the PCC level, the demonstration, the manifestation of your PCC level of coaching, it's also a journey of creating your own identity. It's a journey where you don't just learn, the history of South Africa, the history of Ghana, or the history of Italy, or just geography, but you learn how to be someone, how to be a professional. So it's a journey of, actually also a journey of transformation, the creation of the beliefs, of let's say, the awareness around what kind of professional, what kind of coach do you want to be? Because you can't just learn coaching and not identify yourself with your coaching self. It doesn't happen.
Also remember, coaching is just the service. You know what I mean? Like if someone's a facilitator, that's not who they are.
Yeah.
They might embody an element in their identity of facilitator. Like, I know like when I'm coaching, I switch on, hey, like, oh, it's amazing. I can feel the change. The difference with me is I have embodied my service as my brand, which is different to you. So you don't have to have, coach on your chest. You might just have your name on your chest. That's your identity. But coaching is merely just a service. It's just the service through which you are living your values and your mission.
So that's why we propose, these conversations, these, let's call them webinars, but these lessons with Krystle. I do encourage you to work through all these passages to answer the question, go through the exercises, and maybe share the outcome. Share what these type of activity reflections brought to you, because we ask all the coaches in training to keep a journal here, which has the purpose to allow you participants to the course to create this identity, to understand where are the main shifts, the main transformational moments, what are you seeing of yourself now, what is different from like 3-6 months ago when you started, how did your coaching changed? And that's why we ask you to write it down and share it with us, because it's the creation of your identity. And when and this is something that I have learned as a director of education of my program, as a trainer, as a mentor, when you work on these different levels, like the work that Krystle proposed today, then assessing a session by using the PCC markers, then watching a video, reading again more carefully some passages around coaching competencies, coaching and recording one of your coaching sessions, all these things together, they contribute unconsciously to elevate your level of awareness around the competencies. So you see the result and the impact of all these little works in your coaching practice. And you evolve, you grow, you enhance your coaching capability without even knowing that. But because you touch that at a very, at a deeper level, the level of the identity, of the beliefs, of what do I see of myself, like watching yourself from outside. So it's the awareness that is like using a meta position, a position that is outside of yourself, so that you are aware of, well, I see myself as a funny coach, as a serious coach, as a creative person. They see myself like that. This is how I want to be perceived. And therefore, your coaching persona is built.
Absolutely. And you know, what a gift. Do you know how many people are out there just like not even aware? I mean, I always find it incredible how little awareness there is. And you know, being in a coaching session is such a gift, because you're really giving yourself the, well, like as a client, like time to do that. Because majority of our clients, they're just living, you know, it's like day to day, like, especially if they've got children. I mean, I don't have children, so I'm in a very specific, I'm in a very different place to a lot of people. I get to spend a lot of time on reflection and learning and self-awareness. But sure, the moms that I've coached, for example, it's incredible. I'm always surprised. I'm always surprised. I don't know why, but I'm always surprised at how little time people give themselves to check in with themselves. It's not a part of our day-to-day life.
Thank you, Krystle. Thank you. You also used more time with us, and we're looking forward to have you next Monday with us. Do you still have something that you want to share, or is there?
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, like I said, you're going to have these. So just go through the questions yourself. A value proposition statement is really just, in a sentence, telling people what they're going to get out of working with you. So these are some questions you can ask yourself. And again, hey, I change mine, maybe like every 6 to 8 weeks, because I'm learning my value as I'm coaching people. They're giving me the language. They are showing me what it is that I help with, because I have an assumption based on my lived experience and what I think they will gain, until I actually have that session with them and I ask them, like, what did you gain from this? And then they told me, and I go, oh my gosh, I was so wrong. So ask yourselves these questions to help yourself create that value proposition statement. And again, it can evolve. It could become the thing once you get it right. Once you've nailed the language, but it's not going to be the reason that they don't message you. Like, don't ever think that if your value proposition statement is wrong, that they're not going to contact you. That's incorrect. Because if I look at like how people interact with me, very often it's from a post. Like I posted about Ted Lasso. If anyone has watched that series, I analyzed Ted Lasso's coaching style and how that would benefit players on a mental performance level. So I broke it down into his approach and what would happen mentally for the players and how that will benefit people in the professional sporting world. And that's how that coach contacted me. Oh, chef's kiss. What a great day that was. And then I've got a worksheet, so that will be sent to you, and then you can go through it. And then I just have a summary. So you are your brand. That is what it is. You are your brand. So you as a human being might not want to show everything to the world. You might want to keep some things to yourself. So your brand is your way of encapsulating what you want to present to the world that you're comfortable with. So it's this person that you want others to see. Some things you might not want to share. So, and that's okay. You can keep that private. But the brand part is about how do you want your authentic self to be presented in the world? And you get to decide. But the closer it is to who you really are, the easier it is to make a connection. So that is just like the key. And then your story is important. So why did you become a coach, or why are you doing what you're doing? So if you're not a coach, it's just a service. Why do you do what you want to do? Why do you want to help leaders? What is it about leaders? What is it about the impact that they want to make? What kind of impact is it? Is it the kind of impact you want? So do you want this change? And you know that leaders are the ones that are going to make that happen. And that's why you focus on leaders. Like what is it? Making business human is like the best way to connect with people. And it also attracts people to what you offer. So my offer, like my coaching, my one-on-one coaching, I don't talk about that ever. Like I don't sell that. I'm constantly making connections, and then people say, how can I work with you? And I go, oh, these are the ways you can work with me. That's purely for you on an admin level, to ensure that you have a process and a procedure that people will follow once they want to work with you. And then, yeah, when you're purpose driven, it's important to work from the inside out. That's what this is all about. We're not looking on the outside to determine what to do. We're starting from the inside. And very often coaches are purpose driven people, which is why we go into coaching. So use your coaching as an asset and share why you do what you do. And I think that's it. Yay! Pricing. I just started saying numbers that made me scared and seeing if people said yes. And then I made it bigger, and then people said yes. And then I made it bigger. And that's how I decided on my pricing.
That's it's also like you're measuring things with yourself, and you dare and you check in, and you dare and you check in. So I'll stop the recording now.
This is our Sunlight Academy. If you want to become a certified life coach and find out more about our accredited coaching education, be part of our global community and learn about our programs, you can visit our website, sunlight.academy, and get in touch with us. We are more than happy to meet you.